How's everybody doing out there? We are the Christmas Widow 24-hour live stream, and I have got Alejandro here with us. He is like, just love you. Welcome.
Thank you so very much, Elena. I mean, it's really a great privilege, a great honor when you asked me to be part of this Streamathon. And when you talked, I mean, when you talked briefly about how this idea of this Streamathon came about, and you mentioned Jerry Lewis, I said, oh my goodness, yes, I have to be there.
Right. Oh my gosh, I absolutely just love you. And you have so much wisdom and everything to share. I just want you to take this time and
please, at least, please, Elena, don't put too much pressure on my shoulders, because I'm just going down under the pressure.
Well, why don't we start with letting people know who you are and how you serve? What do you do?
Sure, definitely. Well, my name is Alejandro J. Tornato, and I am the founder and CEO of Tornato Speaking, Leadership and Coaching LLC. But, and there's a big but, how did Alejandro get to where I am right now? Mm-hmm. And you know, Elena, that is a story that I called a trip that transformed my life, a trip that changed my life. And my story begins back in Buenos Aires, where I was born, Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I was born into a very small family. I mean, I don't think that you can get anything smaller. I mean, it was my mother, my stepfather, and moi, just the three of us, okay? I guess, yes, you can have something smaller. I mean, if you got a single parent, I mean, that's two, okay? but this is just the smallest nucleus of a family that you can have. And, you know, I mean, I remember from the very beginnings of my existence, you know, I never had a strong male role model, because my mother was those types of mothers, and perhaps you know some. I'm sure that people who are watching this, they know some mothers who are, and I tell you, I'm going to say something, but I love my mother, because I truly believe that she did the best that she knew how. And but my mother was it was a very matriarchal kind of environment, very domineering. I mean, a very, very strong temper. I mean, she was in command. I mean, she was the leader of the home. And I tell you, later on in my life, I mean, when I went into leadership and I studied leadership and I studied leaders, you know, I mean, there are, of course, leaders, men and women, who are great leaders and who were great leaders. But I truly believe that in my home, I would have liked my stepdad to step into that position of the leader, not the leader who barks orders and commands and says, okay, you have to do what I do. No, not that kind of a leader, but at least a leader who sets the pace and sets the tone and sets the direction and the guidance of the home. But I guess he abdicated that position to my mother. Okay. And so my mother was the one who organized the money at home, the one who organized the trips and the vacations and everything. I mean, everything. She had a hand on everything. And so, believe it or not, I mean, during my upbringing, I was a very shy, a very timid, kind of a person, very, if you would have known me back in those days, Elena, you would have said, Alejandro is the most antisocial person that I have ever seen in the world. Because I was extremely antisocial. You see, I was following my mother's footsteps because I remember that we were living, the three of us, and in the entire time growing up, we never had a party or a reception in my home because my mother was that kind of a person who she was all about herself but not about others. Mm-hmm. And I was absorbing like a sponge all that, and I was all about me. I mean, I was a taker. Mm-hmm. I was a taker. I became a professional taker. I mean, I was going everywhere and it says, give me. I would, but not me giving to others. Mm-hmm. And so that was the first part of my life, growing up in that kind of an environment. And so I finished my high school in Buenos Aires, and then I joined the army. I had to do my military service, I mean, for a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And then when I came out of the army, then an uncle of mine actually gave me an opportunity, which when I look back on it, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. Back then, I did not have a level of awareness to understand that that was an opportunity of a lifetime. I said, okay, well, I mean, he had this idea, and the idea was that he wanted to send me to New York first, to do a 3-month course to improve the English language. Well, when my mother heard that my uncle wanted to send me to New York, then she just, I mean, it was a big explosion at home. It says, no, I would not let you take my son to New York. Why? Because she thought that I was going to be perverted in New York, that the negative influences were going to cover me from head to toe, and I was going to be a completely different person. So New York was out of the question. Then my uncle thought, okay, well, how about if we send him to England? I mean, to do that. I mean, because there were schools, I mean, that you could join. And then my mother said, oh, okay, well, England, I mean, it sounds, I don't know, for whatever reason, perhaps my mother thought, well, the Queen is there, so perhaps the Queen is going to take care of my son or whatever. And so that plan worked. And so I found myself then one day arriving at Gatwick Airport outside of London for my beginning of my journey in those 3 months that I was going to spend living with a British family and then taking classes and improving the language. Well, at the very beginning, Elena, that was very hard for me because I was wrestling with the fact that I was isolated. I mean, I was the only one. I was never like that because back at home, at least I had my stepfather and my mother. I didn't have too many friends. I was shy. I was not social. I was not a people's person. I was a me kind of a person, me and me and me. And so I took that to England. It was me, me, me. And I had so many people that just didn't resonate with me because of the way that I was. And so I was lonely, and I felt loneliness in my life. I mean, until one day I went to, I think maybe, I mean, in one of the classes, I met this guy, Theron Williams. And Theron Williams came from like a dual kind of a family. I mean, he was half British and half Canadian because he was born in Canada. The parents, as when they were living in Nova Scotia, he was born, and then they moved to England. So he was a dual nationality, and I developed such a strong friendship with him. And not only with him, but with his mom and dad. His mom and dad adopted me as their son. And it was a completely different environment. It was, I think that truly at that time, I began to live my life.
Wow.
I began to live my life. And I remember Theron's father having conversations with this man, and he was acting like a great mentor of me, of teaching me things and giving me a completely different perspective of the world out there. And so that had an impact in my life, and I began to change. Now, it was not a very quick change. I mean, it was a process. It was a process. It took time. And I remember with Theron, I mean, we went a couple of years, we went to travel throughout Europe. I mean, we took a bicycle each and a tent, and then we just went to explore the world. We went to many countries in Europe. I mean, we wanted to go to Greece, but we didn't have enough money to get there. So the best choice was we went to Spain, we went across the Rock of Gibraltar, and we went to the tip of Africa. Wow. We went to Marrakesh, we went to Casablanca, we went to Tangiers. And so I was beginning to come out of that cocoon that I had been living all my life, and I began to interact with people, and I began to leave the shyness behind, and I began to become a social individual. I'm part of this world now. And so the 3 months that it was the original idea for me to stay in England, then ended up, I stayed in England for about 15 years. Wow. So we went from 3 months to 15 years. And Elena, it was one of the most incredible chapters in the book of my life. I mean, to really connect with people, to connect with the world, to connect with other cultures in the world. It was an incredible experience. And then when I finished, and then during those 15 years, then I had the opportunity to go to university. Well, I have to go to college first in order to revalidate some of the studies that I had done back at home. Mm-hmm. But I had the opportunity to go to the University of Wales in Wales, and to complete a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering in England.
Wow, chemical engineering?
Chemical engineering in England. And that really had a major impact in my life, because, you know, for the very first time, I realized that I had at least some potential. Not a lot of potential, but at least some potential to do something of value, to do something that was worth it. And then once I completed that degree, then I never went back home. I came to the United States. Okay. And I started working in engineering. Well, I got my residency and then eventually I got my citizenship. But I started working in engineering as an applications engineer for huge corporations. I mean, Siemens, one of them. And as I was
can I ask a question real quick? When you came to work here, or when you came here, then what state did you go? Where did you go? Where did you live?
Oh, when I first came, where did I go? Yeah, I went to Maryland.
Okay.
I went to Maryland.
Okay.
I went to Maryland because I took some classes at the University of Maryland in College Park. Okay. So I went to Maryland, and then I traveled and I lived in several states. I mean, I lived in Louisville, Kentucky, and I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I lived in Massachusetts, and so in Chicago. Well, outside of Chicago. So I lived, but so when I came to the States, and then I started working in engineering, and then of course, just because I was able to speak fluently English and Spanish at that time, then the company said, okay, well, you're going to be an applications engineer, but you're going to be traveling to South America just to connect with the potential customers and to do presentations and to attend trade shows and so forth. And so that's what I did. And I went to lots of different South American countries, I mean, as part of my job. And so I was going to trade shows, and you know that in trade shows, I mean, you have educational sessions. And so I used to participate in those educational sessions, giving very technical presentations. And I was giving presentations, I mean, to audiences of different sizes. I mean, I remember in Lima, Peru, I mean, one year, I mean, there were close to 800 people in attendance in a big auditorium. And one thing began to dawn on me. You know how most people, they're so fearful about doing public speaking. I mean, public speaking is one of the greatest fears that people have.
Yes.
Okay. Well, in my case, public speaking was just like walking on clouds. I mean, I just felt so, I mean, give me a microphone and a stage and I'm happy. and that's what happens. And those were very technical presentations. But I remember one time I was given a presentation and I finished the presentation. And I remember I stepped off the stage, and then there was a lady just was sitting in the front or in the second row. And that lady comes and it approached me. And he said, Alejandro? I said, yes. What can I help you with? And she says, no, I just want to tell you that it doesn't matter what topic you are speaking about or you have an interest in speaking about, no one in the audience will ever dare to fall asleep. And I looked at her and I said, wow, well, thank you very much. And I said, why? And she says, well, because you are so charismatic and so motivating and so, I mean, just inspiring. I mean, and that was given a technical presentation. So from that moment, there was something inside of me, like a desire to speak, but to speak, to take it, not just technical presentations. I wanted to motivate people. I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to transform people, to get people to think higher, to go higher, to move higher. And so when I returned from one of those trips, I said, is there an organization that would help me to do that? And so that's when I joined Toastmasters.
Wow.
And I joined Toastmasters, and I went all the way. I became a distinguished Toastmaster, and that was another great experience. And then being in Toastmasters, then I remember after one meeting, another person approached me, and I think that it was the president of the club. I mean, it was a lady, and she said to me, Alejandro, do you know John Maxwell? And I said, well, yes. I think that at that time I had read one book or maybe a couple of books from John Maxwell. And I said, yeah. And do you know the John Maxwell team? Have you heard of that? And I said, I have no idea about the John Maxwell team. I mean, what is it? Well, I mean, she just explained a little bit, but she connected me with someone. And so I had a conversation on the phone. And of course, I mean, they told me about the team and so forth. They told me the price, and I almost fell down. I said, what? Did I hear correctly? and so I did not have the money, but I said to the person, let me think it over, and then I'll get back with you. And that's what I did. And I managed to pull the money together, and I took the jump. I said, Alejandro, if this is what your desire is, if this is what you want to do, then there's no time to think. You know, I was a little bit into personal growth at that time, and I had watched a lot of videos of great speakers. I mean, like Brian Tracy and Brendan Bouchard and Tony Robbins and Dr. Wayne Dyer and so forth. And I was just enamored with the way that they presented information and the way that they spoke. And I said, that's me. And so that's when I actually joined the John Maxwell team. Then, and I went to Orlando and I got certified. And I remember what you said, that that you were terrified of being with 5,000 people in there. I just went there and it was a party. I just loved it. You see, Elena, how the pendulum from being shy and timid and antisocial, and the pendulum swung all the way to the other extreme, where now I cannot stop talking. You see, I went through the whole spectrum, and so I became certified, and then I left. Engineering. Not because I didn't like it. I love the sciences. I love physics and math and chemistry. I love resolving problems and so forth. And that perhaps, that's a good thing, because when you love the sciences and you love to resolve problems, then as a leader, you are not a problem creator, you are a problem solver, which is good. Yes. And so being certified, then I started speaking, and I started doing things online, virtually, and then I became, I don't know how did it happen. I think that perhaps we were just not following each other, but I got a lot of feeds from Jose Escobar, and he got a lot of feeds from me. I was doing some Facebook lives on another groups. And so we managed to talk, and I said to Jose, Jose, I don't know, I'm going to say something to you. I think that we are of the same mindset. Both of us, we want to add value to people, and we have similar messages. So I pitched the idea and I said, I don't know, I want to do something with you, but don't ask me what it is, because I mean, it's not defined in my mind. I want to do something, but I don't know what it is. And I don't know what Jose might have been thinking this. I mean, my goodness, I mean, do I want to do something with this weirdo? And so I said, I don't know whether it could be a workshop, a seminar, I mean, a webinar, I don't know. And out of that brainstorming that we did, the coffee hour with Jose and Alejandro was born.
Wow.
And we've been doing that for a year and a half now.
Wow.
And we I mean, it's very successful. I mean, we are having a great following, and we want to even take it, I mean, to the next level. And then of course, then afterwards, I became a founding member of the Connected Leaders Academy. And then and not only that, but Jose then just recently extended me the opportunity to be part of the Connected Leaders Academy executive team. And I facilitate, I mean, calls, I mean, with the tribe and so forth. And I tell you, and plus there are things still that I am not going to share because they are still a little bit of a secret right now, but when the time is right, I'm going to share those. But then just collaborating with people, with great leaders, adding value together. You know, I mean, you are a John Maxwell certified person as well, and you know that John Maxwell says one is a small number to achieve success and significance.
Yes.
And how right he is, because yes, we can do a lot of things by ourselves, but how much more and how much bigger and higher the impact and the influence can be when we team with great individuals who have the same growth mindset, same growth mindset. And what a delight it is. And that's how I met you, and I met so many other people then. And don't ask me about the ideas that I have, I mean, to do projects, I mean, with you and many others, because my mind is just flooded with those.
I get it. I get it. I'm right there with you. I'm ready to sit and brainstorm with you too, but I know you've got so many going on as well. But yes, I love it.
And that's how from someone who, well, to tell you the truth, Elena, I don't know what could have happened of my life had I not been offered that opportunity, and to say yes to that opportunity. And because I guess nobody could have forced me to go. I mean, I could have said, no, I'm really not, and then I'm going to stay here and I'm going to carry on, and that's it. But no, for whatever reason, I said yes. And then that was the trip that really changed and transformed who I was, because the way that I was going, well, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball to see what could have happened of me. Right. But what I can tell you is that as a result of those experiences taught me so many things. It taught me to connect with people. It taught me a very important lesson, which, I mean, if all of you who are listening right now, or who will listen to this later on, let me tell you one thing. Opportunities in life do not come every single minute, or every single day, or even every single week, okay, or month or year. But when an opportunity comes, don't say no. Because, you know, I heard it one time. Opportunities are, they're like, you know, like a bald person, completely bald, but with just a flock of hair in the back. Completely bald, figure this out, completely bald, but with just one lock of hair hanging in the back. And that person passes you by. And if you don't grab that lock of hair, that person is going to pass you by.
You're right.
And it's going to go. It's
You're
gone.
right. Yeah.
And that's what an opportunity is. It comes your way, passes you by. And if you are sleeping or distracted or whatever, the opportunity is going to pass and you're not going to catch it. So, and you don't know when the next opportunity is going to come your way. Perhaps never. So when an opportunity comes, grab it.
Yes.
Just grab it as strong as you possibly can. Don't let it go. Grab it and begin to develop it.
Yeah.
Because that could be the seed, a very small seed that could definitely change your life.
I absolutely love everything that you shared, but you are absolutely right. Opportunity, be ready and say yes.
Yeah.
Be ready and say yes. That's why when we were talking, I'm like, I don't even know when it is, but yes, like, yes, let's figure it out. You say yes, and then you figure it out.
That's right.
And I have to tell you, and I'm sharing this because I want everyone to hear it. You know, I didn't know who you were just 2 months ago, right? And you went live in our Connected Leaders Academy. You went live, and when I clicked, I was just drawn to you like a magnet. I don't know what it is. My spirit lights up by yours as well. And I just have to say, it is such an honor for me to know you. Like, I'm going to get choked up here. Like, it is such an honor for me to know you. And I wouldn't know you had I not said yes to something that I didn't even know about. I didn't even hesitate. I just was like, yeah, like, yes. Yeah. So the power of the yes is huge.
It is. It is huge. And believe me, Elena, when I said that you did not know me 2 months ago, when I did not know you, and when we met and when we had, because as part of the this is something, I mean, for people who are not part of the Connected Leaders Academy, as part of that, we have meetings. I mean, we call them virtual coffees, and I had one with Elena, and I tell you, I mean, you know, if you could have felt the energy in, we were having a conversation just like this one, but the energy was incredible, because when you are with someone with whom you resonate, the messages, there's synchronicity, there is, I mean, I don't know what it is, but there is that aura in that environment. You know that you are in the presence of someone who you are connecting, not just communicating, but connecting at an emotional level, at a soul level, not at an intellectual level. And that's what happens, is that when that connection happens, that connection, my friends, is a connection for life. It's a connection that cannot be broken. Cannot be broken.
And I think
thank you so very much.
Yes, I know. I actually have a little extra time. I don't know if you have to go, but I have a little extra time.
No.
Okay. but I want to bring up a couple things because, again, not knowing each other, not understanding the connection, but the fact that we both made our pathway to John Maxwell, like there are just so many similarities. Like we ended up in the same space and years later then discover, you know, I just think it's beautiful because to me, that's divine. That's
Well,
bigger than us.
Well, that is, as a matter of fact, you know that the law of attraction is a topic that a lot of people talk about, the law of attraction. But this is the law of attraction actually taking place, because when you attract not just material possessions, but you attract people, relationships. It doesn't matter where they are. They could be in South Africa, in Australia, in Japan. When it doesn't matter. For the law of attraction to work, destinations is not a problem. And people you are attracting the people that you need to have in your life. Because for whatever reason, they have to be there. We have to cross pathways. And that's what happens. And that's what happens. And sometimes I am just flabbergasted. I mean, when I see, oh my goodness, this happened. And I truly believe that perhaps God, I mean, if I could hear him says, Alejandro, of course it happened. Why wouldn't it happen? It was meant to happen. So don't keep being surprised when those things happen, because they do happen. We attract. I mean, when we are moving at the same vibrational frequency, then we are attracting.
Yes.
And it's like gravity. You know, gravity works whether you like it or whether you believe it or not. I mean, tell me, if you go up to a very tall building and you jump, gravity is going to say, I mean, well, I mean, I didn't care. I mean, whether you believe it or not, you're going to be splashed on the floor, because that's what it is. The universal laws, they apply regardless of anything. And that's what happened. And I tell you, Elena, I've been watching on and off since you started this morning, and the speakers that came this way, and the things that I heard, and the inspirations and the stories. It's a diversity of stories. There are stories that are happy stories. There are stories that are very, very sad stories. There are all kinds of things, and the beauty is that we can connect with each single story and person, because that's a unique story. That's, every person has a unique story, and what a beautiful thing it is. And I tell you one thing, I mean, after all these many hours that you have been in there, you are exactly the same as when you started. Absolutely. I mean, you I mean, fantastic. And it's really great. I mean, to see not only your spirit of servanthood, but the big heart that you have as a woman leader. You are definitely an example to follow. And I tell you, this is not well, perhaps it is a promotion to your book, Broken Stronger, but I cannot put it down. I tell you, I mean, it's and what I saw, what I watched, I think that it was around lunchtime today, when you went through all the five, is it the five things in the book?
Eight. There's
The
eight, because
eight.
it tells the
Yes,
word.
that's right. The 8 things in the book. And oh my goodness, I mean, now I have an even greater desire to keep reading, so I can read, I mean, the 8 things exactly, because I mean, you nailed it. I mean, you definitely nailed it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That happened because someone was going to be on and couldn't make it, and that happened. So I grabbed my book, and it's like, okay, let's talk about the steps. And but real quick, I want to go back. I wrote this down when you said it, and you mentioned something about like not spending, like there's no time to think. When you said there was no time to think, when you have to say that yes, or take that opportunity,
Yes,
or make that decision, like people get hung up in overthinking. And I wrote that down because I do think that that's genius. As simple as it is the defining factor of whether you progress or you don't.
But you know what? The fact that when and I heard it not one time, but I heard it several times. The universe, we are living in a universe that likes speed. Okay, we're living in a universe that likes speed. That's why things in the universe move at what speed? At the speed, not at the speed of a horse, but at the speed of light. At the speed of light. Boom, flash, because the universe, that's what it is. I mean, it loves speed. So when we have to make a decision, now when we have to make a very important decision, is not, perhaps you have to think about it, but you cannot think about it for a year. No. You have to think about it. You have to evaluate all the pros, the cons, everything, and then boom, you have to make a decision. Because that's what the universe likes. Decision. And that's what leadership is all about. Leaders, I mean, you want to be an effective leader, don't hang on making a decision, because you're driving everybody crazy. You think about it, even if you make the wrong decision, it's better to make the wrong decision quick than the right decision in 2 years, because in 2 years that decision, I mean, it means nothing.
It's done. It's like it's done. You've already outgrown it. But this is a perfect example. When my husband was going through, like, he had his heart attack. That's why, you know, the Christmas widow. But he had his heart attack, and we were in the ICU for 25 days, and no one could understand how I was holding it together, right? But people don't understand that skills that you develop, whether they're in this arena or this arena, they serve you well when they need to. So being that leader, being the decision maker, I focused on what's happening right now and what's the very next thing. Like, don't tell me what's possible or what could be. Like, where are we and what needs to happen next, so that I know what to do. Right. And I went through day by day. And when it came time to having to make a decision, here's where we're at, and here's what you have to weigh. You know, I actually moved up the day to turn off the machines because he was doing so bad. And we were waiting for people. And to me, I thought, this isn't a show. He's not here, you know, so I had to make a really hard decision, and I did it. I didn't have time to worry about everybody's feelings and I had to think of him and what's the right thing. I had to even take myself out of it. It wasn't about me. And I think that's a sign, a true sign of any good leader, no matter the scenario. Take yourself out of it, make the choice, and because life keeps going regardless.
Yeah.
And I just think it's worth developing the skills to trust yourself enough to know that you're making the right choices, you know.
And that is one of the signs of a great leader. It's a great leader does not wait. I mean, it makes an effective leader is one who, confronted with a hard decision, not an easy one, but a hard decision, is one that thinks about it and it makes it. Yeah. I mean, it is not ambivalent. I mean, well, do I do it? Do I don't? No. You got the facts, you make the decision.
Yeah.
And then perhaps later on, you find out that, because we are human beings, that was not the best decision. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter. No. But you took a decision. Yes. You were decisive. That's what it is decisive. Because otherwise, you know, when you are crossing the street and you see cars coming, you cannot be, do I go? Do I stay? Because if you go stay, you're killed.
Yeah.
And the truck runs you over. Mm-hmm. So you have to be quick, making a decision, whatever it is, make a decision and go with it. Okay. And that's what great leadership is all about. And I mean, I tell you, I said it to you before, Elena, we could be talking for hours and
I know.
But no, it definitely was a great privilege. I mean, to be part of this of Christmas in July, and the work that you're doing, which is really, I mean, work that is valuable, work that matters, and work that impacts so many other lives. And it's an honor to be a participant of a project such as this one. I mean, I love it, and I know that it's not that it's going to be successful. It is already successful. I mean, that's not a question. And I tell you, it's an honor to know you and to see what kind of a human being you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate and I receive every word that you shared, but it has been a joy of mine to have you on this evening. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and take care. All the very best, and be well, my friend.
Thank you. We'll see you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.